So I have watched some reviews of vloggers who are chiming in on this week's episode of Real Housewives of Potomac, and with the focus on Dr. Wendy. And they were just saying that they had a hard time watching her segments on the show without thinking about this alleged fraudulent claim. Like they were looking at the contents of her house, her jewelry, her clothes, and all of that. And I have to honestly say that that wasn't really at the forefront of my mind. The foremost thing that was running through my mind when I watched Dr. Wendy was how much she has changed. Um, and I was thinking, what in the world is she wearing? Um, to wear that, what she had on, as adorable as it was, and as flattering as it was, who wears that when you're entertaining a girlfriend or a coworker that's coming to your house? Um, it was just so over the top. It was too staged. Her walking down the staircase to ensure we saw her shoes that didn't look comfortable, by the way, was so contrived. I think back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm not a huge consumer of the Housewives franchise. I'm more of a Married to Medicine gal. But I think back to Nene and Sheree and Kim and how, if they came over to Nene's house, do you all ever remember Nene being dressed like that? No. Yeah, of course her hair was done, her makeup was done, but it was never anything like what Dr. Wendy was wearing. And so that's what I'm just saying about um, all of this pretension is just over the top and it's not natural. Um, I also thought this is not the outfit of a professor or a news correspondent. Um, and it reminds me of what my husband told me a while back. I was complaining about Dr. Heavenly and how unprofessional she was. And he said, Dr. Heavenly doesn't want to be a dentist. She wants to be a celebrity. And I think therein lies the problem with Dr. Wendy. My first introduction to Dr. Wendy was on news media outlets. Now, this is years ago when I used to be a supporter of Roland Martin, and I used to watch his show that came on TV One. Dr. Wendy was a correspondent. She was a guest on his show, not frequently, but enough where when she came on to Potomac, I was like, oh, I know who she is. Um, her appearance was below average. And I'm not saying that to be shady at all. And so here's what I mean. Um, she was more focused on brains than beauty. And that's where your focus is when you are a news correspondent, when you're reporting on current events and world events. Um, and so that is how she came onto Potomac. The wigs were horrendous. I'm not a wig girl. But if I was wearing a wig, my hairline would match the texture of my wig. You can't have two. You just have to have one. Okay. And so Wendy's wigs were needed help. Needed her whole appearance needed help. And so after seeing herself And she probably thought, oh my goodness, is that me? I need to step my game up. Um, and I believe probably since the second and third season of her being a part of Potomac, we saw this evolution of her. Another thing I remember about Dr. Wendy when I watched her as a news correspondent was I detected something unique about her voice. And it wasn't until she became a housewife that I realized, oh, she's from an immigrant background. I knew it was something different about her, but I just really never cared to look into it. Again, this is no shade, just a fact that as a Black American, we can pick up on nuances from people who come from a different background. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Dr. Wendy has had a language coach to help her blend in with the other ladies. Okay. Because her sound is a little different. Nothing is wrong with all of this, just as long as um you live within your means, you live within your truth. When it gets to the point where you have to start becoming something you're not, then it's a problem. And I got a little caveat here. I think that's probably why a lot of us are not as blessed as we could be, because the Most High knows if we get a little fame, we get a little money, we may end up in jail. Yes, I know a lot of you are saying Wendy is stupid. We know the girl is not stupid. We know her husband is not stupid. But this is what fame and money, American greed, this is why people end up on American greed, you know? Um, Devastating. So, you know, the evolution that I have seen, a lot of it I really have enjoyed watching her get her wigs together, get her makeup together, even her nips and tucks. I thought that I still think that she is a really good example of how to do a classy nip and tuck because it looks natural. All this exaggerated BBLs is for the circus, okay? And if you want to look natural, I think that Dr. Wendy, she did an excellent job with that. I don't know if I'm sounding like, you know, I am for Dr. Wendy and all of that. I'm pretty indifferent. You know what I'm saying? Like, she never was my favorite, but I also can't say that I never disliked her. You know, I was just kind of indifferent. Um, and I'm sad for what she's going through. It's horrible. Um, and I hate that her husband could not have been a good sounding board for her. Okay. I've heard some vloggers state that they believe that Dr. Wendy was the mastermind behind this. I don't believe that. Eddie is a lawyer, okay? He's not dumb. He's not going to just let his wife, who has become infatuated with the camera and fame, to reel him into something like this. I believe that both of them were in cahoots with this alleged fraudulent claim. Um, and of course, they showed an email, this alleged email showing that he was asking her, how much more can we add to this list? Um, they were both in it together, if this is true. And I just, of course, I can't say it enough. It's sad. They were two peas in a pod, and I think they were two immigrants who wanted to achieve the American dream by any means necessary. Um, and with all of that said, I really think that it would be so refreshing if a network, Andy Cohen, whomever, if they could come up with a show. eh, It could still be a housewife show with ordinary housewives. Um, I believe that Americans would eat a show like that up if you just have professional women. And that was Wendy. That was Dr. Wendy. Dr. Wendy was that professional educated woman, with her professional educated husband, her beautiful kids. You have a nice home, you know. Um she was fine. Yes, she needed a little bit of work, but this what she has let this drive her to do, um, it wasn't necessary at all. And I really welcome a show that can showcase ordinary housewives, ordinary housewives. Um, I don't think I have much to say. I just wanted to give my perspective of Dr. Wendy because I know a lot of people, of course, they're repeating the same thing, and they're saying they were looking at her bracelets and looking at, was that ring? Is that the ring that she found? I really honestly wasn't thinking that. I'm just looking at this woman that looks like a beautiful black Barbie doll, in this really cute outfit, but just thinking like, but this is Dr. Wendy Osefo. What happened? What happened? When did your beauty become, you know, when did your beauty take precedence over your brains? So that's the evolution of Dr. Wendy. Let me know your thoughts. This is the hot topic, and I can't seem to get enough of it.